I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be show your love through your actions. As the old saying goes, actions always speak louder than words. And when it comes to interacting with members of the opposite sex, because not only do we bullshit ourselves, but people that we're dating will bullshit ourselves, or bullshit us, I should say. And that's why it's important to look at their actions and what they do, because the actions are always a true reflection of how they really feel about you. I've got an email here from a woman, and she says, "Hi Corey, so I just finished reading your video on saying I love you, and I had told my boyfriend, who I've been with for about 9 months now, that I love him the other night for the first time. I told him that I have had this feeling for a while and I needed to just do it. So I did, but was a little scared to because of my past experience with an ex. He didn't directly say I love you back, but he said that those are strong words and that his feelings for me are growing very strongly. We are both very passionate with one another and can never stop pleasing one another. I just don't know what I should do to make him realize that I truly love him." Well, a good book that I highly recommend reading is called The 5 Love Languages. It's by Chapman. It's a really short book. I think it's only like 100 pages. And a girlfriend of mine years ago turned me on to this book. And what's great about it is everybody has different love language, or I should say, all of us fall into 5 different categories of love languages. And what a love language basically is that for some people, in order to feel loved and cared for by another person, they are used to receiving presents or gifts. Other people expect to hear I love yous and verbalization, maybe love letters and stuff like that. And there's other people that require affection. If you're very affectionate and you're touchy-feely all the time, that communicates to that person. So the interesting thing is that if you're a person that's like in my family growing up, my parents they weren't affectionate at all, but they gave gifts. And gift giving was like their way of showing people in their family or that they're in relationships with that they love them and they care about them. And so if they get into a relationship with somebody who's like a verbal person who wants to hear it all the time, who wants to hear that I love yous, but if they go out and they buy a gift and they give it to their girlfriend, who is a person that needs their love language is verbalization, and they give gifts because that's what they learned in their family, like it was in mine. So the gift giver gives a gift to the woman that he loves, but he doesn't tell her how much he loves her, and he never says it. And so even though he's giving her gifts, which is his love language, she still feels unloved. And so that would be something that I would encourage you to read that book, because you can pick up on signs to tell which love language your partner is, so you can make sure that you love them in a way that makes them feel loved. Because from the average person, this is something that's totally unconscious, and they have no idea that their belief system revolves around. For some people it's gifts, for other people it's affection, for other people it is verbalization. And so the book is really helpful to figure out your boyfriend and what his love language is, to make sure that you're validating and loving him in the way that he needs to be loved and validated, and vice versa. And so you show it through your actions. But the thing is that, and I say this a lot, is that you got to love the other person in such a way that you feel free. And so your last statement here says, "I just don't know what I should do to make him realize that I truly love him." It's like you said it, but it's like you feel like in a way that he was unconvinced that you care about him. But you said it and you revealed it, and now you're worried about how he's taking it. That is the wrong way to approach it, because if you love your boyfriend, or if you're a guy watching this and you love your girlfriend, when you say I love you, it should be your gift of love to them, and that's it. There's no attachment. There's no, well, I need him to respond a certain way, or I need them to write me a love letter back, or I need them to tell me that they love me back, or I need them to have sex with me to love me back, or I need them to give me a massage on my shoulders to communicate that they love me. I mean, if you are because the whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. And so the idea is that you're giving your gift of your love to him. Just because, why? Because you love him, because you think he's an amazing person. That's all. That's your gift to him. But when you focus on worrying about whether or not he understands where you come from, then it becomes need. It's neediness. It's like, in a way, you're looking for some kind of reassurance. And when you're constantly looking for reassurance and validation in the other person, as opposed to just saying, you know what, I love my significant other and I don't mind telling them, and I'm just giving them that gift. And if they don't say it back, they don't say it back. Maybe he's got a different love language, or maybe he just simply doesn't feel it. Those are things to look at and be aware of and be cognizant of, because obviously you mentioned your ex here, who you had a bad experience with him, because when you told him that you loved him, he was like, whoa, it kind of freaked him out. So that tells me that you were in a relationship with a guy who was just kind of like going along with things. He cared about you. He may have loved you, but he wasn't in love with you, and it's a big difference. And too many people spend too much time in relationships that really aren't going anywhere, or that don't have a future long term, and they bullshit themselves into believing that the relationship is better than it really is. And so the things with you is that give your gift of love, and that should be it. You shouldn't be sitting there waiting. I'll give you an example. I remember I was showing a house one time back when I was in real estate to this guy, and his girlfriend was really attractive. This dude was very effeminate. I mean, like, talking to the dude, you would think that he's totally gay. But he's married to this girl, and so I'm always asking people, like, how'd you get together? How'd you meet? I'm curious as fuck like that. And so he starts talking, and I'm always watching the dynamic of a man and a woman when they interact with one another or they're talking, because I'm always looking to see who really is wearing the pants in the family. And so I started to observe and notice that this guy seemed to be more into his wife than she was into him. And I was like, well, how'd you guys meet? And so they start telling me the story, and they basically were friends for several years, and I guess she dated one douchebag after another. And because they hung out so much time, he was like her male girlfriend for a lot of years, and eventually they ended up hooking up and getting married. But I remember, it's like, I was showing him my house one time, and he was telling her about it because she wasn't able to meet us out, and he's like, I love you. And I could hear her voice in the other end of the line, and she didn't say it back to him. And he was like, I watched him, and he was just like, I love you. And he's just like sitting there, and she hung up, and he's like waiting for the I love you back, and she didn't say it back. And so it was like, that was a guy that was clueless. He just was not paying attention. That was a guy who was saying I love you, not so much out of real love, just to tell his wife that he loved her. He was saying it, and then he's waiting for the response back, going, oh my God, do you love me? And so he's walking around in fear all of the time, worried about whether or not his wife loves him. And so that affects what he does, it affects what he says, and it causes him to come off as being needy and insecure and unsure of himself. And at the end of the day, a guy who perceives himself as a catch and who is successful with women doesn't worry about whether or not his woman loves him, because he just simply looks at what she does and what she says to see that her actions are actually congruent with her words. And if her words are not congruent with her actions, he's always going to look at what her actions are as the true determinant of what she really feels and the real status of their relationship, because he's not going to need to ask or to find out. And in the same token, you don't need to pester your boyfriend, go, do you love me? Do you care about me? Look at his actions. Find out what his love language is. He may have a different love language. He may be the affectionate type of guy, or he may need to get gifts. It's like, once you figure out what it is, make sure you love him in that way so he can feel loved and validated. And once you discover what your own love language is, make sure you tell him what it is and say, hey, I would really appreciate it. Like, this is my family. This is the way we were raised, and this is really important to me. Getting gifts is like a sign that means you really care about me. Or writing a love letter to me, taking the time to do that. That communicates to me that you really care, more than saying I love you 1,000 times. And so that will really help you figuring out to make sure you're validating each other and loving each other and supporting each other and nurturing each other and helping each other grow and become more, so you can have a better quality relationship. And so you're not sitting there focused, worried on what you're getting back. You're focused on giving to the other person, but giving to them in a way that they need to be given to, and vice versa. You communicate to them in a loving manner what you need. And then you just sit back, relax, wait, and notice whether or not your boyfriend is actually loving you in the way you need to be loved. And if he doesn't do it, and if he never shows it and he never communicates it, even though you know what his love language is, if he's not showing you in his love language that he loves you, then you know that you're with another guy who's just kind of going along. He's not crazy about it. He may care about you a lot, but he's not in love with you. And you got to make sure that you're not in a relationship with another guy who's just kind of going along with things because he's really happy he's got a girl who really cares about him. Because that's basically what I did. I remember I was talking to a coach years ago, and we were talking about my ex-wife, and he says, "Oh, you basically married interest love," because it's like my wife totally loved the shit out of me pretty much from the moment we met. I just didn't feel that way, and I just kind of went along with things. And I really, it was the first real girlfriend I had, and I really liked being with somebody that made me feel loved for the first time in my life. It was a great experience in that way, but at the same token, I didn't feel it back, and I didn't reciprocate it back, and that's eventually, like I talked about in my book, why I eventually left that marriage and made the commitment to myself that I was never going to get into a situation like that again unless it was something that felt right to me internally. So if you have a question that you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session, and you can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website, and on the Wibiya toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.